just a great overall guy. He's a great guy. He really is. So please help me in welcoming to the platform Reverend Steve Adkins.
Well, I almost didn't come today, so I'm glad y'all came. My talk today is going to be personal responsibility and spiritual unfoldment. I'm going to be teaching classes on that starting September 17th. And too many times we get caught up in systems. We want to learn a system that teaches us to do that, a system that teaches us to do this. And what we need to know is how to know ourselves, how to know that spiritual being that's already within us that we can bring out to the world around us. And it tends to be covered over by the mass media, by our fears of the world around us, generated by that. I mean, everything today just shouts at you, doesn't it? From your phone, from your TV, everything seems to be shouting at you and trying to almost mentally assault you. And on top of that, you got the daily events of your life, which it is life. It's not personally attacking you. Sometimes it seems like that, your life seems to be attacking you and just dismantling you at every turn. And I've been through a period like that for about the last 6 months, just thing after thing. And, the way that I managed to keep stepping back out of it instead of being overwhelmed by it is to realize that it's not me, it's life. There's not some big being out there, a group of people making things happen to me. It's life. It's the life that we walk. It's the life we unfold. And the thing about lessons and keeping responsible for what you think and who you are is that things are presented to us by the spirit realm, by the higher minds, for us to become awakened about ourselves. And sometimes it's very difficult things that happen to us, because I'm the type of person that unless I really get kicked in the teeth hard about something, I don't pay attention to it most of the time. Everybody doesn't have to be like that, but I do. So the spirit realm treats me like that. A personal responsibility is what allows me to not blame other people and blame other things and keep looking at myself and my own awareness of my life. The most recent thing that's happened to me, it's hard for me to say it, but I had a dog I had to have put to sleep. And I spent about $5,000 to be sure that's what had to be done. So we had it done last Sunday, and at home, buried him in the yard. And my wife started shopping around for new puppies in a matter of days. And it's kind of funny because everything that happens to you as a solution is not exactly what you think it is. You have to look deeper into it. And she looked around, and finally found a couple of blue Shar-Pei puppies. That's what ours was a blue. They're really rare. And so the only other ones we could find were down in Miami. So we went to this guy's over in Eustis, took an hour each way. And we get over there, and there's 2 little puppies left out of a litter of 7. And both of them got lung problems, breathing real hard, and had pneumonia. And that's why nobody wanted them. So I went ahead and got one, and Peggy's going, "We can't leave that other one." I said, "I can't afford to buy another one. I'm sorry, Peggy." So we get outside, and the kid comes running out. He says, "Don't you want that other one?" I said, "I can't afford another one." He said, "We'll give it to you because you seem to want to take care of them." So we get them home, but that was the purpose of that. It wasn't so much, it did help heal our hearts because the house was so quiet. And we got 3 cats and 4 horses. So it's not a matter of not having animals in the house, but that presence. So we get home, and the purpose of that wasn't just to heal us, it was so those little guys would have a home, and that's what happens is a lot of the time when you're caught up in your own turmoil and your own difficulties, you have to help other people to get out of it. Find somebody that needs help, not just go out on the street corner and solicit to help somebody, but the Spirit will provide a situation for you that will unfold for you. But you have to have that spiritual awakening about what the totality of that lesson is. Otherwise, you repeat it again. And that's just natural law. That's not the world being mad at you or you making mistakes. You haven't increased your awareness. And this is how spiritual unfoldment works, for me anyway, is that as you move through these things, you see the deeper meaning to these lessons. It doesn't just cure the situation you're in. There's always a deeper meaning to it that you have to see and you have to let unfold in your life. And as you move through your life doing that, you do become more aware. But the problem is the more aware you become, the more responsible you are for what you do and how you do it. And that's why a lot of people in the camp here study to become mediums and healers. And you think it's going to be, oh, I'm going to get to sit around and feel the energy of spirit like I do in meditation. But that's not the case. You get deeper into people's lives. You get deeper into the meaning of what you're there for. And you have to step outside of yourself. You can't speak from your own experiences because your experiences are not what that person needs. What they need is what the spirit realm has to say directly to them from your mouth to their ear. And you have to get yourself out of the way, not talk about your education, not try to make them think you really know what you're talking about, and just let yourself speak what that person needs to hear. And anyone can do that to a certain extent. If they have an emotional connection with somebody, they can relax their mind and have that inspiration. Mothers can do it with children. Brothers and sisters can do it with each other. You can do it with your parents. They can do it with you. But you have to relax your mind and say something you just don't really think that is not in your mind to say. It's something you would not normally say in those situations. And you just have to let yourself be that instrument. So it's been, like I said, quite 6 months. I've been assaulted from every side I can be assaulted from almost. My family, not close family, but my wife's family, financial situations just falling apart in front of me, just right and left. And what happens when those, like I said, what I do is I fall back into my meditation and try to calm my mind, because any spiritual calm that you bring into your life is constantly being nibbled at by your conscious mind. Some people would call it ego, but I have a different understanding than ego because of my previous training before I came to Casadega. But your conscious mind does not like to be dictated to, it does not like to be controlled, and it does not like change. So anytime you try to bring a spiritual idea or principle into your life, it tries to tell you, nah, that doesn't work. Oh, that's a bunch of BS. That can't possibly be work for this in your life. And that's a true guideline that's probably exactly what you should do when you think that, because that it's too simple. It seems too simple. It just can't possibly be what's going to work. But the spirit realm sees the whole picture. They see the huge picture of everything. And you have to just quiet your mind. And that's how unfoldment and awareness works with me. You are given the inspiration. You have to take that step of trust and employ it and see the totality of what it expresses, just like those little puppies. That's what the purpose of that was. It healed me, but it was them. They needed that too. And you see it time after time, the broader things that happen within what you do. So when you're really distraught and wound up, as stupid as it sounds, you'll have an opportunity to help somebody other than yourself. And that will take away the intensity of what's going on with you and allow you to begin to see a little clearer that which is going on in your life. Because you, through personal responsibility, which is the cornerstone of this faith, are responsible for what you think, what you do every time you think, say, or do it. And if you keep employing that, it will give you the freedom to move out of the difficulties you're in. But again, there's a certain amount of things that are going to happen to you, no matter how good a person you are, no matter what you believe spiritually, things are still going to happen to you because you're a human being in this world. You're shrouding an eternal being, a spiritual being, but what reacts mostly with the world around you through your senses and your conscious mind is the physical you, the conscious you, which is bound up by millions of years of instincts, a lifetime of training, of reacting to the world around you. And these things generally aren't exactly what you should be doing. And the spirit, like I said, slides in there and gives you these little nudges, little things of awareness. And that's what mediumship is. It's taking the unknown and the unseen and making it known and seen. That's the simple definition of mediumship. And everybody has that ability to tie into their spiritual mind, their spiritual being. They just have to say to themselves, well, what if it really is there? Just suspend that conscious mind of, this stuff doesn't work, or this is only for Sundays. Suspend that thought in your mind and say, well, what if? And just give it a chance. See what happens. See what comes to you, because it'll nudge you along in little ways. I remember when I went through a period of pure hedonistic lifestyles, and when I got ready to get out of it, I was involved in a recovery group called AA. And I remember about my first year, I got into a heck of a position. My mom wanted to come back to the house we were living in from where she was, gave us 30 days to move out. My wife and my 2 kids had to move out, and I was living paycheck to paycheck like most people do. And I said, well, this is going to be an interesting one to see what opportunities come my way now, because I was just moving into that spiritual awareness of believing that there's a higher force that will inspire me and will help me. And I get this check in the mail about 2 weeks later, and it was for half of what it would take to move. Not all of it, but half of it, just like the puppies. 2 sick ones, not 2 healthy ones, and next door. There's that extra effort you have to go to when this solution is presented itself. So you can have that awakening, so you can have that truer depth of what it is that goes on. So I got half the money, and then I was able to get the other half to move on. And most of your circumstances in life are like that. There's not this flashing thing that happens that clears away everything when you're in meditation, or the sudden awakening to the principle that's going to guide you and not allow you to have any more difficulties in life, because that's just not the way this world is. You have to acknowledge that. This world is going to be full of challenges. It's going to be full of things that you have to decide and deal with. There is no magic carpet ride that's going to take you out of all that. What happens is you develop a spiritual consciousness like I have, and it's there no matter what happens to you on the outside. And when you finally catch your breath and relax your mind, that calm and that sureness about your life is still there. And that's what you need to do, is to develop that spiritual consciousness. Once you connect to it, it never goes away. It may get a little dormant when you're in real difficult times because of your choice, but it will still always be there when you stop and look to seek for it. And the reason for that is Andrew Jackson Davis was asked one time about where spirit existed at in our world. And Andrew Jackson Davis was one of the pioneers of spiritualism. He was a very famous person, very well recorded, the Poughkeepsie Seer, I think they called him. And he said, it exists between the smallest particles of existence in a place called a field. Now, this was before anybody knew anything about atoms. So he's saying that the spirit influence exists at the atomic level between the particles of an atom. And he called it a field. That's what they call it today. The distance between the particles of an atom is called a field. So he is insinuating or stating that the entire world around you is moved with this plan of spirit in such a subliminal way that you can't be aware of it. Everything is moving forward with spirit. Nothing is being left behind. It's just that when you become consciously aware of it and try to employ yourself with it and create that expanded awareness in your mind, event by event, item by item, that you begin to really feel that presence. So when you're meditating, don't meditate for something out there to come into here. Meditate and just feel that eternal part of you that's there. Try to communicate with that eternal spirit that is you. Most of the time, we don't do that. We try to communicate with something out there. We want a spirit to come in. We want God to come in. We try to draw all this stuff in when it's already here. And that's a hard thing to realize when you're being overwhelmed emotionally, overwhelmed by life circumstances, and just pounded and hammered until you can hardly stand up. But what it is you never give up. You never quit. You might take a time out once in a while and just go to the beach and say, I'm not thinking of anything today. Not go to the beach to try to solve your problem, but go to the beach and do nothing. Get drunk if you want, whatever. But, there is times when you'll take a time out. But I thought that was so interesting when Andrew Jackson Davis said that that's the level that the spirit realm influences us at the very atomic level of everything that exists is moving with a purpose. It's moving with a spiritual purpose. But it's so broad that we have the illusion of choice. We have the illusion of freedom of choice, but it's within a fixed parameter of everything that's being moved forward all at once. And that's what we try to do when we meditate. We try to feel that connection to all that is around us, feel that plan. And it's not just for us. It's not going to just solve our problems. We're going to be moved forward with all of creation. Everyone is deserving of that. Everyone has the ability to tap into that. I don't really get along with somebody saying, oh, everybody can be a medium, because they can't. Everybody cannot be a professional medium any more than anybody can be a professional baseball player. You have to have a genetic tendency towards being that professional persona. You have to have a character that will allow you to do that. There's a lot of things that go into being a professional medium other than just having the ability to receive intuitively. It's quite a profession when you get into it. I hate to say that because it tends to diminish it, because people think that we're these great spiritual seers that can see everything. Well, we have as much trouble with our lives as anybody else does. We have a harder time being objective about ourselves than other people. So sometimes all the knowledge we got just really isn't helping us that much. But what it does is it allows us comfort when we sit down. It allows us a sense of feeling the truth about the world around us. And that's what you need to feel, is that comfort and that truth right here, not out here, not thinking that God cares about you and loves you, not that you've got angels all around you or guides all around you. Here, myself, my own eternal spirit that is here within me. And like I said, most of the time people don't think about that eternal being that exists within their flesh and their mind. They want to see outside of themselves. So take your time and just begin to look around yourself and see what you can see that relates to where you want to be. As I said, life has been definitely happening, definitely been going on with me, causing me to struggle at times and just get really difficult. And the family, the extended family that's been giving me troubles, I just got so fed up with it, I just stopped interacting with it. And when I did that, my wife started having problems with the people that it was going on with. So my purpose was to step in there and be the run interference for her with it, not have myself upset. Because I'm reasonably tough. I can handle a lot of stuff, and she's very emotional. Not that she's uncontrolled, but she's a very sensitive person. And things that affect her a lot more than they affect me. So I've had to step back into that and be the one that runs the interference. And it's difficult, like I said, but the purpose is to help her, not to help myself, not to keep myself calm, but just to help her. And the other things you tend to, as you get older, which I'm a little bit older now than I was when I came here, you tend to feel these aches and pains a lot more. And I'm a healer. I'm a physical healer. I've helped people with cancers, with tumors, with just some of the most horrible things that were going on with them. But now I've had back surgery. I'm having difficulty with my legs and stuff at times. And I started taking a lot of pills. And just the other day that came to a head. I started having severe difficulties with my digestion. And I knew that's what it was. I just internally knew what it was. So I stopped taking them. And this morning my legs didn't want to work right. And I said, come on, man, you're a healer. Go into that mode. So I relaxed my mind. Now that I'm off the drugs, now that I'm not depending on the muscle relaxers and the gabapentin for about 3 or 4 days, and my mind hooked up with it, and the pain and difficulty went away, and I was able to get up and move. Now I still feel some difficulty here and there. Again, nothing's a silver bullet, but it re-engaged me with that part of my life. It made me get up and come in here and talk to you people about what I'm talking to you about now. So I do hope that, like I said, we've had a little bit of time here today, and I don't want to belabor it too much, because then I start talking about myself too much rather than the spiritual lessons that I'm trying to share with everybody. I got 2 little puppies waiting for me at home now. So I'm going to go ahead and end the lecture with a little bit of a joke. I always like to tell a joke. There's these 3 guys, and they're out plodding through the wilderness, and they come up on this raging river, and it's just unbelievable. There's no way to get across it. And these guys really want to get across it. So they're looking around up and down the shore, and they come across this bottle with a genie in it. And the genie pops out and he says, each one of you can have 1 wish. And one guy says, well, I want to be the strongest man in the world so I can swim across the river. So poof, he swims across the river, almost drowns, but he gets across. And the other guy sees that. So he says, well, I want a boat to get across the river. So poof, here's a boat. He gets across. He almost capsizes, but he gets across. And then the third guy says, I want to be the smartest person in the world and figure out how to get across this river. Poof, he turns him into a woman, and she pulls out a map and finds a bridge 1/4 mile up the river. Thank you all.
And that's how Peggy keeps you straight. Hopefully you'll have shoes left when you get home. Okay.